Oh, hi. This is an unplanned session. Something, let's just say interesting happened today. Um, it was at around 4 a.m. on Sunday, and due to my very inconsistent day-night rhythm, I was, of course, awake the whole night. I mean, if I'm not tired, I'm not tired. It's as simple as that. Um, but anyways, I need to talk about something that happened on a Discord channel. I will not tell you what channel that is because I want to keep all the people involved anonymous. But essentially, um, I was just I was just minding my own business. Um, After checking the server, and then I checked it again, and suddenly it was flooded with memes and all kinds of gifs, and I was like, what are you doing there? And then it just got out of control, and they were just memeing around more and more and more. And then eventually what happened was, at some point the manager of the server just decided to invite the the other memers into my channel. They were starting to spam my channel full with absolute nonsense. And I mean, yeah, what else should I say? They just spammed it, and at some point they even started posting highly inappropriate stuff. Where I was like, stop at this instant or I ban you. And I eventually had to ban them, not because I didn't like the people, it was because they were just getting off control, yeah. And I mean, I know that people at the age group that they're likely at, it's very typical, this kind of out of control state. I know that um, I never had such a phase, but I can understand that many people do. Uh, I I have full understanding for that. But of course, even still, you have to be strict about it and say, hey, no, this is not okay. And then I just banned them, and the server manager of, well, the other server was like, hey, why'd you ban them out of a sudden? And I was like, and he thought I was being a bit too harsh, and I was like, yeah, I had to stop it somehow. And I mean, they just weren't listening to me, yeah, because they were in this, again, this out of control state. And I know that they weren't just messing with me for the sake of it or out of being malicious, because immediately after I banned them, the other manager told me he sent direct messages via Discord to the other people involved, and he explained them my like personal situation, why all this just triggers me, why it's just too much for me to handle, why I can't deal with it the same way that they can. And they have shown understanding. They apologized. And I mean, I remember there was one apology that was like crafted within seconds, where I was like, yeah, okay, you know what? Spice it up a bit, just because honestly, I just need to know whether the person was being honest about it, because I mean, at that moment, I mean, retrospectively, was quite obvious that they were actually sorry about it, but at the moment, I was still like in this rage and like, how could I do this? But eventually, I was able to forgive them. Actually, forgive them, and I wasn't mad after they apologized. I was like, okay, now they've learned the lesson, and I actually managed to pull it off, and I kind of celebrated that with the manager. I have direct contact with him, and yeah, I mean, it was a huge success for me because across my entire life, I I used to think that being strict and being forgiving were incompatible. If you're strict, you're not forgiving, and if you're forgiving, you're not strict enough. This is how I used to think, unfortunately, and I want to tie this to the other episodes, so um, it has also something to do with traditional parenting, and to all parents out there, um, there exists no such thing as either being strict or being forgiving. You can be both, and you should be both wherever it is appropriate, such as in these kind of situations that are just extreme and going out of hand. All right? Just to set the stage. Now, for the first time in literal ages, I felt that the power that I had there was negative. Because usually, and I think this also comes from like the news and from traumatic experiences, you often hear that people abuse their power. Yeah. And until this happened, I literally defined power to be something inherently negative. Like, if someone has power, they are evil. This is what I used to think. I'm over it now, thanks to that experience. It's like one of these terrible experiences that move you forward. It's like the experience that you're grateful for, even if they hurt at the moment. And I think this is quite remarkable, especially considering how casual the server tends to be. And yeah, I'm very grateful for that. Honestly, that was one of the most interesting experiences in like in my life. And you must imagine this is just the 5th day of the year. So yeah, that hit quite a bit harder again. But I was able to measure it. I also learned that I'm no longer as emotionally vulnerable or kind of controllable as I used to be. Meaning, I have the power to get over my past trauma. Officially. I can officially let go. And the experience has shown me I needed that kind of experience to be able to start working on processing it 100%. If I don't have a counterexample to the trauma, no matter how hard I try, eventually I will run out of basically kind of arguments, if you will, against the part of me that tries to hold on to it for the sake of supposed safety. And I think it's important that I have such experiences. Experiences where I do get overwhelmed, where I in parts also embarrass myself, but in a safe manner. In a way that can't actually like physically hurt me or like turn into slurring and manipulation and stuff, you know. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to say what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, because obviously trauma doesn't make people stronger. It weakens people every single day. It takes them away their life elixir every single day. At every single given moment. Like the skeleton internally is shivering whenever it is even just slightly triggered. So what I actually want to say is that sometimes there are moments where you realize this is like a big moment in my life. This was one such moment. And I didn't imagine it would come at such a moment. I didn't imagine that. And my message instead is there's nothing bad that doesn't come for good. Meaning, bad negative experiences should not make you feel bad about yourself. It should really make you think, it should make you realize how strong you are. Being able to get over it, to even to survive it, that is an achievement. Like, I don't know how many times it's been hard for me to literally survive the negative experiences I've had. I had moments in my life, especially when I was 15 and 16, where the negative experiences were becoming so many, or at least so it seemed, because my mind was replaying the stuff over and over again. It was like a tornado. It was just so many that I had a hard time surviving. Now I realize I'm no longer in such a state. I have evolved. I have changed, and for the better, and not only temporarily, but permanently. I managed to do it. I pulled it off. I pulled off actual change in me on an emotional and cognitive level, in a way that I didn't imagine would come that early. I realized today I already had that within me a long while back. It just had to be activated. And I was somehow able to activate it in a safe environment. And in fact, that manager, he is in fact at this point a very good friend of mine. I told him about it, about this forgiving, and I realize I am not like my parents. I am not their puppet, and I've not become a clone or a reflection of them. It is simply that I was damaged, but I can heal the damage. I am not a reflection of them. I am not like them. And I mean, if they see my video, I don't care what they think. Like, they already hate me anyways. So what do I have to lose? And same goes for my brothers. And in case anyone wonders who they are, I will keep them anonymous as well. As much as I hate them at this point, I will keep them anonymous. I am not someone who goes for revenge or says, here are the links to these people, now start criticizing them. No, I'm not like that. I'm not like that because I'm stronger than that. I have the power of love within me. I do. And it's actually hilarious timing, because just the day before, I was wondering whether I was even capable of loving or being loved, or forgiving or being forgiven. I wondered. And my mind was spiraling. Turns out, yes, I am able to love and to forgive, and I can be loved and forgiven as well. I have learned all of that today, and it is the most groundbreaking lesson in my entire self-help journey so far. And I don't mean self-help in like that big industry. Like, there are many things in that industry that you should take with a grain of salt. the difference between that and my channel, by the way, is my channel reports personal experiences and my emotions and thought processes. So this is actually first-hand experience, and it doesn't come with any particular intention. I just pull it out, and people can take from whatever they want. I hope it is to start working on themselves and asking themselves, what is my version of that? But ultimately, I'm not in charge of that. You are. And this is why my videos just provide a different perspective of that working on yourself and going beyond like trauma. Actually, getting over trauma is like the main point of my personal self-help. That is my major problem. There are other people who struggle with, I don't know, social anxiety maybe, or overly many fears. For me, it's a bit different. For me, it is traumatic experiences, getting over them. That is the focus of my channel because this is what I'm experienced in. I've made the first-hand experience, and I mean, other people did as well. I mean, it's up to you who you trust. I'm not in charge of that, but I know I can trust people, I can love people, I can forgive people. Game changer for my entire life. Because I was worried for so long that perhaps I had become like the people I hated the most. My parents, my brothers. But turns out I am not like them at all. I have changed. I'm independent of their person. I am still an individual. I am not a puppet. I realized this for the first time in years. In literal years. And I felt the kind of empowerment that was loving, care and caring. Because previously my empowerment was like intrinsically, I don't know, toxic, malicious, like trying to dominate over the other person. And the reason I was like that was simply that I copied, pasted that behavior from my parents. Especially, I remember I used to really look up to my mother because she just had a strong personality. She looked confident. Turns out she has serious issues with her confidence. I noticed that, for instance, she, my family is, my parents, they met in Spain and they moved to Germany. And my mother to this day didn't properly learn German because she was always busy with either raising us or with dealing with our school problems, which, to be fair, they did resolve well, but ultimately they didn't parent well, so it doesn't make it any better. But also, what do I want to say? I looked up to her because I had that image of her. And I thought, yeah, must be great to be like her. No, not at all. It was terrible, and I've seen more and more narcissistic and even psychopathic traits in my mother, and I realized, oh, wait a moment, that's not who I want to be. And it's all a process. I had to learn. We all start from zero, all right? I'm not inherently like malicious or anything. I just took the wrong example. I just so happened to look up to the wrong person. And this can happen. This happens to a lot of people. I know that as well. from many people who I've met in my personal life, I know many people regret many of the people who they looked up to. I know that. Same goes for me. And so, going back to the situation from today, I'm very grateful for what that other manager managed to pull off. He put it back into control. I'm very glad that, I'm just very glad that it was resolved so quickly. And let me just tell you some passages of what I wrote him. So I wrote, and I quote, "To truly conclude the topic though, these moments were an eye-opener to me for the fact that I can be both strict when needed and forgiving when appropriate. I have the ability to be both. They are not contradictory." This, by the way, is what I talked about previously. Continuing with the quote, "I have the power to be kind. It has shown me that I am hypothetically free from my parents. Even mentally, I can do it. I can be caring. It was the first time in ages that I experienced such positive, transformative, and non-toxic empowerment. I can be powerful while not manipulative. I can be transformative while not projecting. I may even be able to love again, truly and fully. And it begins here now. I love you for what you did. The weight leaving my mind through my hands as I write this, in the family and community sense, not romantic. This has to do, by the way, with like the memes. Some of them were like, yeah, are you queer or something? Are you a furry or something? I don't know. Usual internet stuff these days. By the way, I consider myself neither. I mean, if I am, I don't mind, but I personally don't consider myself either. And I'm generally not a fan of labels, but that must wait for another video. Anyways, continue the quote. Again, the weight leaving my mind through my hands as I write this is astonishing. I can do it. I did it. He responded, just, good job. And then I continued. If I could, I would even hug you. I feel just incredible right now. This could be one of these moments that I recall even decades later. Who knows? I think you know that feeling when you realize that the moments that passed right behind you were massive and game-changing. I can feel that. Thank you. You made my day in the weirdest and most uncomfortable way possible. Which, by the way, is my kind of humor. And then I was joking. Truly sinister and worthy of a rabbit, I wrote. Which, by the way, is a reference to my new appearance on YouTube and on Discord. Check it out. My profile picture is now a rabbit. I just like these animals. I mean, never seen any in real life, but I just love them. Anyways, continuing. I applaud you for this live orchestra. Truly moving. Not that it had to go that far, but it isn't. But it's not all bad that it did. I'm glad it wasn't all bad, and it was resolved quickly. And that last bit is something I also want to talk about. It's actually something I talked about in Temp 4, but I want to bring it in. I just want to finish that topic off. And basically what I said in Temp 4 was something in the lines of, it was about the traumatic experiences from ages 10 to 12 at school, where I was bullied, I was even drowned alive. And these people, they just became insane. It got out of control, And basically that day, I realized that I was putting a lot of weight onto them. I was projecting onto them the idea that they were inherently bad. And so I told myself, hey, what if you don't approve of what they did and you're strict, but nonetheless you forgive them? And this is exactly like this, the parallel between this temp, which is number 5, and temp 4. And essentially, what I want to say is bad situations don't have to happen. They should be avoided, but if they do happen nonetheless, it isn't all bad. We can learn from it, we can be better the next time, and we can take it as a life lesson. And honestly, I think there's a phrase that says something in the lines of, everything that can go wrong will go wrong, eventually. I'm not sure. I think this is like a variation of Murphy's Law. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I really like this version because it really shows that first these bad things must happen before we can learn from them and avoid them altogether. And we can do it. We can learn from our past, we can be better. And if you feel like you have become the puppet or reflection of someone else, I tell you, cut the tie. Just cut the ties altogether. Be you. You be you. And you can do it. If I could do it, you can too. It's as easy, it is as it is. And by the way, this event coincided with my change in online appearance from that peace symbol, which at some point I found to be a bit too generic, to that rabbit. And I was just testing out, maybe who knows, maybe more people empathize with it. Who knows? I just want to try it out. And I wanted my appearance to be a bit more authentic, which I just couldn't do with my previous branding. And so it coincided, and the first reaction was, yo, people send you memes and ask you whether you're furry. If this is the first experience you have, if you let yourself be driven by such experiences, it will be, okay, I will never do this again, I'll stick to the old thing forever. I don't take it like that. Not anymore. This is how I used to deal with traumatic experiences, where it was like, I have to make sure it never happens again in my life. No. Let it happen, deal with it, and tell people to stop. Just stop it. You do you, and I do me. It's as simple as this. And this is what I've learned. That I don't have to be afraid of bad things happening, because I have the power to turn these bad things upside down to be good and filled with love. I can do it. And it takes away all the fear that comes with traumatic experiences. I can now face them all. I can face them all with my bare eyes. I can do it. For the first time in my life, I feel this empowerment. I did feel some kind of empowerment across, around Halloween, and even after it lingered, which was kind of the energy that finally motivated me to move out. But this one is different. I can tell you this one is different. This one is truly transformative. It is a game changer. Because I no longer have to be afraid of other people. Because if other people want to fight me, I don't have to fight them back or defend myself. It is no longer fight or flight. I have a better option. It is love. Being a good example and telling them you would be better off if you stop being like that. And I appreciate this experience. It didn't have to go this far again. But now that it did happen, I feel very relieved that I can take something positive from it, that it doesn't additionally traumatize me, and in fact undoes a lot of my trauma. It undoes a lot of my fears, and the reason I'm talking so neutrally is that this topic is so serious. If I did something jolly, and I'm going to make that, I can prove it to you, I can be authentic. I can be fully emotional, like expressive, everything. Just, it doesn't suit such topics. I know when to be which way. And this experience, there's actually one problem this experience does unfortunately not solve, which is the difference between the discrepancy that I've noticed between my cognition and my emotion. It's like meeting me is like meeting two people. My thoughts and my feelings. You can talk to my thoughts as much as you can, and argue and rationalize as much as you want. If my feelings don't feel it, then it won't do anything for me. This is unfortunately the case right now. And for that particular problem, I will seek out a psychologist, unless, who knows, maybe some other experience changes that. But I can just wait and hope. I can't afford doing that. So I will go the quick way, the fast way. And also, what did I say? I don't know what I said, but honestly, I don't really mind. You can figure out the rest. Yeah. Being grateful for the experience. Yeah. Okay. This is where I was. So, this experience was fascinating. And vice versa, if you talk to my emotion, as much as you keep making me feel something, as long as my cognition doesn't go with it, nothing happens. And this is kind of the problem I have. That it must be kind of, I must wait for always both to happen for anything to happen. Which, I mean, there should be a portion of both, always, like as a balance, but it shouldn't be both 100%, because that's just overload. And this is what I have realized over the past days. And I'm very glad to have made this experience. Not that these people acted well and they admitted that they didn't, which is great. And it's also reassuring for me that they actually care about me and that they can actually empathize with me, unlike some other people I knew in my life. But yeah, that's it. This is like a life-changing moment for me. And yeah, it's very hard to end such a video, because there's just so much to express. There's just, you know what? I will end this video with a minute of silence. Breathe deeply in and deeply out. Okay, follow me. Actually, 3 breaths should be enough. So, see you next time, and if you like this, then I guess don't forget to send the bunny a carrot. Cheers.